James Pope here with RSA NetWitness Platform, talking today about alternate data streams and visibility of them in your environment. An alternate data stream simply gets abused by manipulating the master file table and saying, when this executable or this thing is ran, run this thing also. Every year or every version of Windows that comes out, I think it's going to be solved or more transparent to the user, but yet it's still there. And today on the Mitre attack, it is our tactic 1096, a defense invasion. Defense evasion. Pivoting over to NetWitness, we're going to start in the respond module. And in respond, we have an event incident here created called alternate data streams. Pivoting into alternate data streams, we can see that there's 17 events in here. And again, we have that nodal view, and we also have an events list view. You can dive each step through them. Each of the 17 events, we can bump through them one by one. We also can roll those up and look at it from the events list. So today we're going to go through it from the events list side. And walking through this, we have our C2, which again, we're using the ATT&CK framework, and we can see that it is coming from file name AI exec server. Any one of these we can expand, see further with the meta view. So we have the hashes coming in. We have also what the target domain is. So it's pretty clear that this is going to static.attackIQ.com. Any one of these we can kick out to investigate original event. We can also go after that domain, or we can analyze the process. So just bumping through this real quick, the second event, it appears that we have our AI exec server, and it is targeting and running a PPID spoofer 86. And then it runs a PPID spoofer 64. A lot of times programs will run them both. They don't know at the host if it can run 86 or 64. And then we see a hello world exe64. We see a file creator binary exe86. We see a hello world 86. And we continue that down. Now we see a 64-bit version, and then the sleeping binary 5-second 64-bit as well. We see that they also made an 86 version of it. This is just a script then that's just banging stuff out. Again, continuing down, we have our sleeping binary now, our packaged up 5-second that works for our host. And we also see our Python script running svc host with a command argument here, which is a little interesting. A launch argument that has it in here that allows us to start building that alternative data stream. And then we start seeing the commands of PPID spoofer /command /Windows temp payload sleeping binary PPID. And so here's where we're creating our alternative data stream. Event 13, right here, we're seeing more of that and some additional calls. And then our SVC host is now, so this is where our Windows box is now running our binary. And at the end, our actual binary is popping out a console. With some commands, con host, etc. We're going to pop open, I don't know, let's pick this PPID spoofer 64, event 13 here. And closing it real quick, we can see the hashes that are coming from our AI Python, and we can see our hash coming from our PPID. We want to go a little bit further, and that hash in the PPID is this EA9. So when we expand this, just to make sure we're keeping session, we see our EA9 hash right here. And that one is related to our PPID. So at this point, I want to do two things. I want to analyze a process. So I'm going to click on that to analyze a process. And while that loads, we're going to jump back. And I also want to look at this hash. So I'm going to pivot to host files. And what that's going to do is move us to NetWitness under investigate files. And it's going to bring that file for some additional investigation from us. Checking on our analyze process, we can see that it's popped open here. We have our AI Python that's coming from our ATT&CK, and any one of these we can hover over, we can see what the launch arguments are. We can see where it's coming from. We can click on it and get more detail. In this case, we're selected on the PPID spoofer 64. Again, the same meta, the same checksums are being brought up to our attention. We have different file hashes, SHA-1, SHA-256, and MD5. We also see some imported libraries. And when we click on it, we can see an events list that has some additional information from it that we can kick out and see where it came from, where it's going. We see, actually, I think it's Windows Defender. Maybe take a look at it. So I thought that was disabled, but maybe it likes to re-enable itself. This also allows us to see how many hosts these things are being ran on. And in this case, we just have it being ran on our one attack host. So if we saw this was like 6 other hosts and those are additional hosts, we'd want to go evaluate and look at as well. Closing that out, we can see that we have this AI alternate stream, which is interesting, with some additional information and callouts from there, which we're actually just going to dive through right here. That same con host that we saw at the end of this last roll-up right here, that's our same con host right there. And we can see that it launched command exe with some launch arguments of ping, essentially command ping 8888. So this is a way to validate that it got embedded inside of another program and that it pinged Google, and Google was like, cool, you are running inside of something. So let's go back to that host, the file information. And on here, we can select this file and we have some options. We could just, after investigation, we could determine this is just bad. We could blacklist this across our organization with some comments of like, yeah, we don't want this to run anywhere. This is an attacker tool. It's being used for whatever. But let's say we're still doing our investigation at the moment. It looks not good right now, but we have some options here. So we can download this to server. And in this case, it's grayed out because it is already downloaded to server. And that happens with files that are under a certain size. We'll just auto download them. We also have the ability to save it as a local copy onto our machine here that we're using, and we can play around with it further. We have the ability to analyze that file. We also can kick it out to VirusTotal or any other external lookups that we had piped in. It's a lot of times, depending if like it's sensitive or not. In this case, this is just a demo lab. I like to just Google it and see what comes back. It might give me some insight information as to what it is. And we're seeing a lot of parent ID, PID spoofing information with Mitre detecting it. So every single thing here is InfoSec with exploit tools or detection tools. So including coming right back to that Mitre attack that we were already on our other tab. So a lot of times that allows me to get context to say, what is this and does it matter and should I dig further? And in this case, yeah, that doesn't look good. So we're going to do an analyze file on this because we already have it downloaded to the server. We're going to kick out an analyze file. And what that does is it's just going to give us the string views of everything in here. And this is where you get super in the weeds with IR and the detail of what this exact thing is and this file and all the calls and everything inside of it and the offsets, right? And the Unicode and the links. We have this roll-up detail on the right-hand side. That's, again, going to give us our checksums, the path where it was located, the images. Remembering back to that tree, we had what the imported DLLs are, but we can see them here. It's here's what it's calling with these 3 functions on this one. This is what it needed. And then we also have this other one. It's going to be really big. Looks like 86 of those on the kernel 32. But yeah, anything it needs to pop that open is going to be there as well. We also have the section names for text, our data that is built inside, and subsystem that was used was Window Console. Any one of these, we can do some quick searching. We can say, hey, give me everything with the word PPID on it, or anything with the word just PP in it, but PPID. And we can see additional information, where's ran, users, any call outs in that system as to what they want to pull up. So this is super powerful information, coupling it with what gets auto pulled into alerts and incidents, letting you roll through it, having the ability to see it in tree view, see events, see additional hosts that things are being ran on, and getting right down into the weeds on the files as well as to what's in each thing. With that said, this is James Pope with RSA Platform, and happy hunting.